might surprise my wife and give it her as a present, you know. I'm off to Riverwood Aquatics. I have a catch up with Pete, the owner, have a check of the store, we'll have a walk around and show you what's going on there. But I'm also meeting up with another scaper called Josh. He's got an absolutely beautiful nature aquarium aquascape. But another thing, I want to scape a low-tech nano tank. So what I've got with me is this Adua cube. It's a 20 centimetre cube, 8-inch cube. I'm going to create a super low-tech aquascape using materials hopefully from Pete's place, from Riverwood Aquatics, and get some help from Pete and Josh. Okay, here we are at Riverwood Aquatics. Pete's here, hello, the owner, and Josh is here. We're going to go to Josh's place later and check out his beautiful 900. 600. Is it 600? Wow, excited to see it. So lots of developments since I was last here. I think the biggest one is the fish system here. All aquascaping friendly fish. And you find this is creating a lot of interest with your customers?
Yeah, it's nice for them to come in and select some fish for their scape.
Yeah, probably my favourite scape in the store, and we will be using some of these plants to scape the nano tank, which we talked about at the beginning of the video. But I just wanted to show you these absolutely stunning Emperor Tetras. Colours are absolutely magnificent. How long's this scape been running, Pete?
3-4 months.
Okay, that's nice.
Maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
This one's really nice.
Oh yeah, he's a beauty, isn't he? Was he like the baddie?
Yeah, he came in with a group of other fish, as like a little fry, and he's just been with us for ages.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And this is an Oase Scaper Line 100?
Yeah.
This moss is lovely. Is that weeping moss?
It is, yeah.
So great use of that. And you've got inline CO2, I can see that being pumped out. What are the fish? You've got some beautiful histogramma. It's Master Eye.
Yeah.
Let's try and get him in focus. Yeah, stunning. And I did see another, there's another one here. Beautiful. Lots of Bucovalandra, lots of moss. It's all epiphyte. Oh no, you've got some stems. Got the good old limner filler there in the back.
Yeah, it's recently been replanted.
Got down here Ricardia, Bucovalandra, some small Anubias. That's beautiful. And are you maintaining these once a week or so?
Yeah, I try to do it once a week. It doesn't always happen.
But you're a one-man band here, aren't you? It's just you, so you know, it's obviously.
Push for time sometimes.
Yeah, this is nice. This Bucovalandra Catarina. What are these called?
BioLow-TECH terrariums.
And you can buy them empty or ready scaped?
Yeah.
So how long have these been running for? They look quite mature.
Yeah, that one has been running not that long, a couple of weeks.
Oh really?
Is that? Yeah. These ones have all been running several weeks. Yeah, very low maintenance, don't really do anything to them. Obviously you could trim them when they get to that sort of state.
Yeah. Perfect for like a desktop, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You've not got the weight of an aquarium because there's not as much water.
Yeah.
Low maintenance, no spillages.
Yeah.
And even these little things.
Yeah.
They're so cute, aren't they?
Yeah. It's add a little bit of green. It does look like a Christmas tree, doesn't it?
So you can just, you can add a little bit of nature to your living space without super expense. Is that linked up to your computer then?
Yeah, it's linked up to the Wi-Fi.
Josh, unfollow now. We'll do it. Yeah, see if it works. Filtered properly, is it?
Yeah, it's got an internal filter.
Nice.
So it comes with like an overhead filter, but I've changed it.
Oh,
Good work.
wow, that's worked really quick, isn't it? Now follow again.
There we go.
There we go. So how long have you been open now, Pete?
4 years. It was 4 years.
Is it
in
really?
June,
God,
yeah.
that's gone so quick, hasn't
I know,
it?
it's blown by.
And because you used to be a postman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we set up a Aquascaper 600 at your place.
My house, yeah.
And now you've got your own aquascaping store.
Yeah, got out of control, didn't it?
Living the dream, mate. How long has this been running? This looks quite mature.
Yeah, this has been running about a year, maybe. I've always been sort of doing terrariums and things like that.
Have you?
Yeah, for a long time. It's a Folgo, I just set it to a timer, comes on
Okay.
every half an hour.
There we go.
There we go.
That's perfect timing.
It's not supposed to be that noisy,
Oh yeah. Let's check this one out. Pretty jungly.
but just a bit.
I love the out of water stuff.
That is Pothos, Devil's Ivy.
The Crypts, Ferns, Anubias, Bucovalandra. Yeah, my kind of scape. Oh, that's beautiful. And that's AQUASCAPING 900.
Yes.
Falling to pieces.
Wonky cabinet.
The cabinets were shocking, to be fair. Your Hardscape selection's pretty epic. Should we go outside and have a look? So this is all your woods. Epic collection. And then this is your stones. Oh, you've got a good old scaping dojo here. That's perfect. Wow. Sport for choice, mate.
Yeah.
And you've got some monster pieces here. Okie dokie. Right, well, should we start scaping? So the thing is with a cube, you kind of, ideally, it's good to have like 3 sides viewable. Sand substrate.
We've got Rio sands.
Oh, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I like similar, and yeah, can we use that?
Right, hello.
Yeah. So Rio are a company from Spain and quite new to the scaping scene, but an amazing selection of materials, stones, rocks and woods, twigs for detail work. And they do have this really cool product which I was introduced to earlier, which is, what's this called again? Sticky soil. Sticky soil. And it's being used here on this Hygrophila pinnator feeder. And so we might use that. So is it, if you put it on dry then? On the dry wood?
Yeah, you put it on the dry wood, like just out of the water.
Yeah.
And then you can stick sort of emergent plants to it.
Okay, it's not designed for completely submerged.
You can do it submersed. I haven't used it submersed, so it'd be a bit of an experiment if we did try and do that.
Can you attach moss using it?
Possibly. Certainly on the water's edge, yeah.
So just give it a good clean. This has been in my garden for probably 2 years. So I have sort of cleaned it, but it needs a bit more of a clean. And this is actually one of my favourite cleaning products, like tools, the Denale Cleanator. It has a wire wool, but it's actually a soft kind of metal, so it doesn't scratch the glass at all, but it's really good at removing stubborn marks. I think I left my Fritz glass cleaner in there, and there's a little ADA cloth as well, mate. So, escaping outside on this beautiful day, no need for studio lights. The biggest studio light in the world up there. Okay, we've got some Rio, which one's this? Canyon sand. And the really great thing, we'll get a close up of it as it's going in. But what I really like about this is not just the colour, but the texture, because it goes from like a really, really fine sand to kind of a bit coarser. So it just looks more natural. A lot of sands that you find in the hobby are just like a monotone sort of texture, grain size, and it just doesn't look so natural. So I think we need a bit more, Pete. Is that all right? So we're in the store now because it's getting so windy out there. This is the Canyon.
Canyon first.
We've run out of that, but we've got the Cimarron now, which is a slightly larger texture but very similar colour. And I think that's actually going to look really great mixed up deliberately. Always tend to put more in the back to get a sense of kind of perspective, sense of depth. And the reason I'm just using the inert sand, this is inert, so it won't contain any nutrients or very little nutrients. And the reason for that is it looks beautiful, obviously, but it's not really going to help the plant root growth. But that's okay. We're not actually going to use that many rooted plants. We're going to use mainly epiphyte plants. That's plants that attach to our decor, our wood or our stones. And if we did need to actually target feed any plants, we can always use root capsules or nutrition tablets. Another benefit to not using soil. Soil tends to contain lots of nutrients, and in such a small volume of water, that's going to have a significant impact on the water chemistry. So by using an inert substrate like we're doing today, that's really helpful. It's also cheaper. I'm going to mix it up properly now. It's also much cheaper than soil, and you're not going to get that. What we not often do is use cosmetic sand in the foreground and then a soil in the background, and what can happen is the soil can migrate forward and looks really ugly when it's kind of mixed together. So relatively shallow at the front there, and then we've got a good couple of inches, sort of 4 centimetres or so depth at the back, and then we can tidy that up because we'll put the hardscape in, and that's gonna mess it up a little bit again, but that's no problem. So that's our substrate in. This is a low-tech tank, which means we don't use CO2. We're using a relatively small light here from Chihiros. Shout out to Chihiros for supplying this for us. Retailing at £49.99 currently, Riverwood Aquatics.
Thank you.
I've never seen these in action before. It's actually controllable with an app, so we'll play around with that later. But yeah, looks really neat and perfect, I think, for this size aquarium. You can change the spectrum as well.
Yeah.
Wow. The technical geeks out there, you can have a look at that. Nice. Actually, quite a big fan of Chihiros.
We do some good stuff.
Good stuff, yeah.
New products coming out.
Yeah. Okay, next step is our beautiful piece of wood. What type of wood is this, Pete?
Good question.
This is wood. Now I just have to remember which way round we went. Was it like that?
I think we called it Rebel Tree.
Like that?
Rebel Tree.
Yeah.
Or like,
No, I think that bit was at the.
Yeah,
Yes, that was it.
I'm working backwards, so my spatial awareness is a test here. And we could have used something like the Twin Star 200, which spans this perfectly. This is a 20 centimetre tank, as you can see. It works perfectly. But this is a very relatively powerful, and because it actually spans the whole tank, it's actually this wood is gonna get in the way. So, and it's probably more expensive, is it?
Yeah.
As well. How much does this retail for?
I think that's about £70. Something.
Okay, still reasonable.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And just controllable with a dimming rather than spectrum, I guess.
Yeah, inline dimmer.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so there's our hardscape in there. Now, the question is, do we want to use any stones or not? Maybe small pieces of dragon stone, because that kind of suits the colour of the...
Yeah.
What do you
find some?
Sort of underneath here.
What do you reckon?
I reckon.
It does look very similar.
Should we go and have a look at some dragon stone? Yeah, I mean, these are perfect size. You could just wash these off in your ponds. Oh yeah, look at this. So we're looking for like intricate detail. So you know, you don't necessarily want sort of boring flat pieces like this. There's no texture there, boring, right angles, doesn't look natural. But something like that, that's beautiful, isn't it? Look at all those little holes. It's called dragonstone because it represents sort of dragon scales. So I think that's probably going to be enough there. 3 pieces, nice and easy. Let's go and give them a wash. You wash off your dragonstone, as you can see. Look at all that dust and debris that comes off there. That's just going to cloud your aquarium water when you fill it up, so it's worth spending a little bit of time. Some people pressure wash it in the garden if you've got big pieces and lots of them, but obviously we don't need to do that today with these tiny pieces. Okay, let's pop those in. This is worth taking a little bit of time and attention with this bit. It's really important to get the hardscape right. So look at the individual pieces, rotate them around in all axes, and just figure out what looks the most natural, what's the most interesting. So I really like this hole here. We could potentially attach a small plant in there. I normally start off with the biggest piece, so that's this one here. So that's gonna fit nicely just like that. So pop that in there. Actually bury it in the sander touch, and that actually makes it look even more natural, as if the stone's been there forever and then the earth is eroded away to expose the stone. That's the effect that we're looking for. Now we've got this secondary stone here, and it's nice to kind of have them almost at right angles to each other, and actually that's in line with this beautiful piece of wood here. So we can pop that one in just there. Again, bury it slightly. And then our final piece here, using the same principle, have it kind of here, like that. And then what we have here is some nice cracks, some nice crevices to insert moss or other small epiphyte plants, which we'll choose in a minute. So like I said before, we've got perfect opportunities around these cracks and crevices to attach our epiphytes. So I want something really fine textured, ideally we'd have like a really fine leaved Bucophalandra. Have you got any fine leaved Bucophalandras in stock?
Yeah, I think so.
What, like
something like Katarina?
Oh, Katarina would be perfect. And then my favourite Anubias at the moment, the Anubias mini coin.
Yeah.
You got some of that?
Yeah, got some of that. 1-2 grow.
Perfect. And then, I know we've not got a nutrient rich soil, but we could put some easy carpeting plants in, or really small foreground plants like Cryptparva. Perfect. And I'm thinking some fast growing stem plants in the background, like I mean, the classic is Limnophylla sessiflora.
Yeah, take some cuttings.
Yeah, so that's already adapted to grow underwater, which is perfect. And then maybe a splash of red with something like Rotala hra. So have we got all of those in stock?
I think we have, yes.
System here, we've got the cooler here, and we've got some mature plants here. So this is actually in the gel, so that will need washing off in order to attach it properly. That's a really generous portion, that's lots of individual plantlets coming off there. This is going to be an immediate background, which will look great. This is one of the fastest growing aquarium plants in the business. It's a great what we call a helping plant. So even if you don't want to use it in the long term, it's perfect for setting up a new aquarium because it grows so quickly. It takes in a lot of the nutrients which will otherwise feed the algae. So it's a really good idea to use something like this in a brand new scape, which is what we're doing today, of course. And it's already obviously growing underwater. So that's going to adapt hopefully to my water at home. Do you have hard water here, Pete, or what is it?
I do, but I'm using half RO in that.
Okay,
It's a bit softer than your tank.
Okay, well hopefully it's very hardy, very adaptable plant, so it should be okay. So we've got five stems there. That's probably plenty for this tiny little tank. It's important that we don't let the plants that have adapted to grow underwater dry out because they can really damage the plant tissue. Just a splash of red. It'd be interesting to see how this does without CO2 or particularly strong lighting. It's part of the Rotundifolia family, so it's relatively easy. You just tend to need very strong lighting in order to get that really beautiful red coloration. Last but not least, some moss. Hey, do you want to do that? Yeah. I'm a bit worried I'm going to destroy it. So this is weeping moss. This grows beautifully kind of in a downward cascading formation. Under good lighting. Okay, so we'll start off with the Anubias mini coin. Peel off your lid, really easy. And then you should just be able to pluck the portions out of the gel, and the gel stays in the pot. Just pop them in water. It is one of the smallest Anubiases on the market at the moment, so it's perfect for this tiny nano tank. It doesn't need strong lighting. In fact, it does do better in the shade, less chance of algae. And we should literally, because of what we've done with those stones and the type of wood we've got, we should just be able to insert it. If you do have trouble, you can always use a tiny little dollop of super glue. So I'm deliberately putting the Anubias towards the bottom of the tank because it does prefer to be shaded, and the Bucophalandra will go higher up. It does do better with more light, Bucophalandra, although it will tolerate shade as well. You know, we're not spending a lot of money on plants here today. The advantages obviously of using such a small aquarium. Maintenance time isn't going to be potentially so much, although you might need to maintain it more frequently because of the size. But a water change is going to take minutes, and I'm thinking of actually using old water from a plant, you know, one of my higher nutrient tanks, and then that will help feed the plants. Might not even need to add any liquid fertilizers if I do that. It's important that we don't bury the rhizome in the sand, because that will potentially cause the plant to rot away. Perfect. Okay. We've got the Bucophalandra catarina here, one of the smallest Bucophalandras in the hobby at the moment. Just to keep you. That just pulls out of the rock wall there, like so, very easy, and then we can just rinse off any excessive rock wool. The rock wool is like this fiberglass media that the plant's grown in the greenhouses. These are all grown hydroponically, which means the plant itself is growing out into the air, and then the roots themselves are buried in nutrient-rich circulating water. And we can actually separate this into more portions for a more economical spread, like so. Just pop that in there. So similar process here. Get the portion of your Bucophalandra. I am working backwards here, so it is interesting. But that goes in there lovely like that. It's really interesting working with such small tanks, isn't it? You have to be really, like, attention to detail is so much more important. Using fine textures to keep that sense of scale. If I did keep livestock on here, probably just a few shrimps.
I do find nowadays though a lot of people are a bit more interested in nanoscapes.
Yeah, there's a lot more nano-friendly, you know, products now, plants. If you are on a budget or a limited space, you know, there really is still plenty of opportunity to create beautiful scapes. Have you used this before, Josh?
No, I haven't, but I think Pete has used it
In there.
on here.
Is this just literally sort of push it into the cracks?
Yeah, you don't need much of it.
No?
Yeah, it's just a sort of stick the plant to and then try and feed the roots.
So we'll pop it there. What's this called again?
Sticky soil.
Sticky soil. Interesting. Time for our plants that are going to go into the sand now. What I like to do, this is a top tip that not many people know about. You can grab the whole portion like this and flick all the gel off. It's called the farmer flick. I just love getting my hands wet and I love playing with plants. So, I mean, it's a perfect hobby for me.
Yeah.
And sand. It's like being in a sand pit when you're a kid. So here we've obviously got quite big kind of clumps, portions. We can actually separate those now. So just gently kind of tease them apart, otherwise you can potentially damage the plant tissue. I did a video on high-tech versus low-tech on my YouTube channel recently, and it's no surprise that low-tech is very popular. I thought, I haven't actually set up a low-tech tank for so long, what can I do? And then I remembered I had this little Dewar tank in the garden, sitting there doing nothing, and then I realised I was coming to see you, and I thought, why not have some fun, make a nice little low-tech tank, make a little video, hopefully inspire a few people. I mean, how much are these little cubes? I mean, you can buy an equivalent, even cheaper, couldn't you?
Really cheap, yeah. I mean, Dewar are a bit more expensive, but you can get cheap little cubes.
Yeah. And then potentially you don't even need a filter, you just need a bit of light, some water changes to stop the organic waste from building up too much. Pop your plant in your tweezers, and then this is going to grow probably 2-3 times as tall as it is now, so just bear that in mind for your final kind of visualization, and then just keep repeating that process. So this would normally take in a lot of nutrients through its roots, but because it's obviously in plain sand, it will have to take in nutrients through its leaves. So plants need to be fed, some plants need more food than others, and some plants prefer to get their food from either their roots or their leaves, but they can adapt and they can take in nutrients through just their roots or just their leaves. So it's quite an interesting thing. I like to add, ideally, you'd be feeding the leaves and the roots with liquid fertilizer and a decent substrate. You can see how many little plants we're getting just out of that one pot. So I'm here with Josh. Thanks to Josh for filming. He's holding the camera right now, and we're going to go to his place later and check out his Aquascape. Is it an Aquascape 600?
600, yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you stay tuned. Right, we're ready to plant our stems. These have been extracted from a mature scape, so they've all adapted to the underwater. We've got moss as well, actually. We'll do that last. Let's do the rotators first. Great thing about these nanos is, you could set one up at home, and if you've already got a mature aquarium, you can literally just use cuttings from that and do a brand new scape, virtually no cost. No, we'll plant the rotala first. I think that's all of it there. Now, it's a focal point plant, so we want to bear that in mind. We probably don't want it at either edge of the tank, so we'll probably place it around the back here, gently with the stems, because they are very delicate now. They've been adapted to underwater. It's actually really easy to plant into this sand. Soil can be a bit loose, it's not very dense, so what can happen is when you plant, the plant will kind of float away if you're not careful. But the sand tends to grip the plant tissue better. If this plant grows well, we can always take trimmings and then replant those and kind of boost the overall plant mass and density. This is actually the first plant I ever succeeded with in my hobby, I think in 2001. This is going to dangle over everything, so you need to be careful here. The tricky thing about working with these tiny aquariums is struggling for space somewhat. Definitely growing here, and I've no doubt about that, and it will need to be trimmed probably every week or so, maybe every couple of weeks, and that's good. The fast growth means it's taking in a lot of nutrients, which means there's less nutrients available for the algae. I love moss. It adds a real mature kind of aesthetic to the layout. So even in a brand new, it's popped out there, even in a brand new scape, you can really make it look mature with some nice moss. And what you can do is to make sure, hopefully, it doesn't float away when we fill it with water. Just push it into those cracks as best you can. And this is really delicate stuff, you know, we're dealing with a tiny aquarium here, so I might surprise my wife and give it her as a present, you know, for her desk. Yeah, I'd actually get really distracted if this was on my desk.
Playing about with it.
Yeah, just always see something that needs changing, do you know what I mean? Okay, so we've fitted the lights. It's the Chihiros Z series. We're not putting water in it right now, I'm going to transport it first. So next time you see this, we'll be at home, hopefully looking really nice on a desk. But just to give you a sense of scale, that's how big the tank is. And I think it looks really great. We deliberately use fine textures, you know, with the substrate, the small branchy wood, all the plants are fine textured. And I'm really pleased with it. Thank you to Josh for helping. And of course, thank you to Pete, who's hiding behind here, for supplying all the wonderful products. So yeah, next time you see this, we'll be in my home, hopefully, looking even better than it does right now. So, as you can see, very portable. Just be very careful in the car. Don't drive like a lunatic. And yeah, get to your end location, fill it up really slowly. And yeah, Bob's your uncle, as they say here in England.